What's up guys, my name is Fran and once again welcome back. So AMD's Ryzen platform has been out for a number of months now, and when it first came out I ran out and picked up an 1800X processor and did an entire AMD build. But in all honesty, I haven't really been using it ever since. And not for any particular reason other than the fact that I already have a Z270 with the 7700K system and a 1080 Ti, and that's plenty of power that I need for gaming, and I still have my backup X99 system, so I really didn't need a third computer. But alas, I have finally figured out a purpose for my AMD Ryzen system build. So in this video, we're going to be checking out the build itself and seeing how it performs. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the parts I chose for this particular build, starting off with the outside and then working our way in. Starting off with the case, I chose the NZXT S340 Elite in matte black. Now, I really like this case, mainly because of the overall look and feel. It's kind of simple, yet looks really nice and definitely does look elite. It also features a tempered glass side panel. Now, this side panel is really nice for showcasing your overall system build, especially when you have some really nice looking components in there with a touch of RGB. It just, I don't know, it just looks really good to me. Now for the motherboard, I chose the MSI X370 Gaming Pro Carbon. Now this particular motherboard features dual M.2 slots, a dual channel DDR4 memory up to 3200 MHz, USB 3.1, PCI Express 16X, etc. Pretty much everything you would find on a more modern motherboard you are going to find on this one, including of course RGB lighting. Now as you can see, there is some subtle RGB lighting around the south bridge as well as the I/O ports, so it definitely can add a little pizzazz to your system, and overall I think, especially once again paired up with the NZXT case, it just looks really good. Now this should go without saying, but this motherboard does support the AMD AM4 socket, and that's because we're going to be pairing it up with the AMD Ryzen 1800X processor. Now by default this processor does run at 3.6 GHz, but I did get mine to overclock to about 4 GHz stable. I was able to finagle 4.1 GHz, but it just wasn't stable and started to restart, and I had to have the voltage way too high. So I feel really comfortable running at 4 GHz, and overall the CPU just really performs that way. And cooling this CPU is going to be the NZXT X62 Kraken CPU cooler. Now this is a closed loop cooler featuring dual 140mm fans. Now while I don't have much to go on, I do feel like the thermals on the 1800X being cooled by the Kraken definitely seems to be pretty decent and well within reason, considering the overclock as well as the voltage being pumped into the CPU, but overall I did mainly pick the X62 Kraken because of its CPU block. Now looking at the overall CPU block on the X62 Kraken, video just doesn't really even do it justice. This thing is absolutely beautiful. It can be controlled with the NZXT CAM software paired up with an NZXT Hue module, and once you do that you can do all types of things like make it pulsate, give it a solid color, all different types of combinations, breathing, it can do bass response, whatever you really want to it. Now speaking of RGB, as far as memory goes, I did pick the G.Skill Trident Z memory. Now this is the RGB version, which you are capable of controlling and changing the RGB lighting, but overall I actually do like this cycling rainbow color, which I think looks really good in the system overall, once again paired up with the NZXT Hue stuff, the CPU block and the CPU fan. Now as far as storage goes, I did decide to go with the Samsung 850 Pro SSDs. Now these SSDs offer really good speeds. I do have them running in RAID 0. They are only basic SATA, so obviously we're going to be limited. This motherboard does support M.2 hard drives. However, I did seem to have some issues when I first built this system as far as getting NVMe hard drives to be detected as well as even be bootable. So because of that, I did default to just general SSDs. Now as far as the actual GPU goes, there's a little bit of a funny story behind this one, but I did go with the MSI Armor Edition RX 580 just to go with this entire all AMD Team Red build. Now this particular GPU, it's not anything special. If you've seen an RX 580, you've seen them all. This is the 4GB version though, so it definitely does offer some really good performance in a ton of gaming. Although this system isn't really a gaming machine, I do plan on using it for other reasons. It's good to know that it does have a decent GPU that's capable of doing 4K video playback as well as just really great 1080p or 1440p gaming. Now moving on to the component that's actually making this system useful for me is going to be the Elgato HD60 Pro. Now I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but this particular machine I'm going to be turning into a dedicated Twitch streaming rig, or just a streaming rig in general, to possibly do some online episodes or just overall do a little bit of gaming online, and being able to stream that without losing performance out of my main PC, or being able to stream from a PS4 or my little RetroPie, or even my Xbox One X when I eventually get it, is going to be really useful to have a dedicated dedicated machine just for that. So how does my Team Red build perform? Well, I could sit here all day and run you through gaming benchmark after gaming benchmark and counting frame rates. I could even run you through a number of productivity-based benchmarks like Cinebench, RealBench, and Geekbench. But in all honesty, a lot of these numbers just don't matter because this machine has one task and one task only, and that's game streaming. And in all honesty, you don't need that much power when it comes to a dedicated streaming rig. The 1800X, if anything, is overkill, but at least I feel better not having it sit there collecting dust. But overall, I am pretty happy with my Team Red build, and if it wasn't for the fact that I already had a great gaming PC or that I edited all my videos in Final Cut, I would definitely consider switching over to this 1800X system as my main rig. Alright, so that is going to pretty much do it for this system build video. If you guys have any questions about the system, do me a favor, leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, if you like this video and you want to see more like it, slam on that like button, and if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Once again, guys, my name is Fran. Thanks so much for checking out this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.